Is 5 to 9. Well, 50 years ago tonight, RAF bombers delivered a devastating blow to the German city of Hanover. During a 45-minute raid, the ancient city with its many historic buildings was razed to the ground. There were thousands of civilian casualties. One survivor, who was a 14-year-old girl at the time, is Helga Neesham. She's now married to an Englishman. She lives in Lowestoft. What did she remember of the raid?
It's very hard to really explain the feelings you have because there's such a lot going on. The noise, the stench of the smoke and the fire blazing and the people crying for help. You're trying to help them and they're clawing at the debris to try and get to the people who are underneath all that rubbish. It was horrible.
What were the thoughts of a 14-year-old girl as you contemplated German defeat at that time?
Well, it didn't come into it. We never thought of defeat because don't forget, we had all the propaganda on the radio. We thought we were winning. My Uncle George was on home leave from Russia, from the Russian front, and after that raid he said we'd never win the war. Never ever will we win the war with this going on. You see, Goering had said, you can call me Meyer if one enemy bomb falls on German ground. And he referred to him, everyone referred to him as Meyer.
Describe Hanover to me before the raid.
Hanover was known as the Green City. It was a lovely, beautiful place. In the center of it was a beautiful big opera house, and there was Café Kröpke and the Bahnhofstrasse, and George I sat on his horse outside the Bahnhof, the station, the main station.
Did you feel safe in Hanover?
I did. We felt safe because we had brought George I to England. Nobody was ever going to give us the big one.
Describe Hanover after the raid.
Well, you couldn't get into Hanover, not for days and days. The flames were sky high. As I looked out of the skylight, we went upstairs because we had 11 incendiaries on our house, and Uncle George and an old boy of 65 had put them out. And we were checking to see that they were out after a while, after I've been helping people. And when I went upstairs and looked through a skylight, I couldn't believe what I saw. The flames were sky high, as I said, and it needed oxygen to feed on. And this oxygen was being drawn into the fire and caused a firestorm. And the sound of this noise, I can't describe it. It was horrible, frightening. The heat was so intense that the pavements melted and the window panes that had burst from the shops and those flats and things had melted literally into the pavement, and the people who were caught in this were literally cremated.
What warnings were you getting of the Allied raids?
Well, we were very, very good. Germans, being Germans, are very disciplined people, and of course we would never, ever dream to think of listening to radio, BBC or anything like that, the World Service. So we had only the propaganda, and we were winning the war.
When the war was coming to an end, it was clear that Germany was going to lose. What were your worst fears?
Staying alive. Just simply staying alive and having something to eat.
How do you feel now, looking back 50 years later at that night?
Well, it was horrible. I lost an auntie and an uncle in that raid. It was just the horror of it all.
Helga Neesham, who now lives in Lowestoft, married to an Englishman, remembering the horrors of the raid on the German city of Hanover 50 years ago tonight.